Hello, friends. Today we will discuss what is happening with the express entry draws. So, in November, we have seen back to back some of these draws, and the scores are pretty high. And why is that? So, we'll discuss that, do some analysis, and what can you expect next year? So, I have done some analysis I'll share with you, and you could be in a way then prepare yourself to how you can maximize your chance if you want to get PR in Canada in 2025. So before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Sandhu. I'm a CICC licensed immigration consultant based out of Ontario, Canada. And here's a disclaimer. This is only for informational purposes and does not construe any legal or professional advice. If you want one, you can book a consultation with a licensed immigration practitioner, maybe a lawyer or maybe a consultant. So without any further ado, let's dive right into it, right? So first, I would just look into the draws which have happened. So the last draw at the time of making this video was on November 15th. So that was a French language draw. And if you look at the pool for this year, right, pool as of now for as of November 12th, we see that the number of people who are eligible, who probably are eligible and waiting is around 217,500, right? So these are the number of candidates who have created a profile. Yes, you can say that few of them might be, fake profiles or they've created the wrong profile. We do not know how many of those are or duplicate profiles, but that's what right now the stat is, right? So let's see what is happening with all of these draws. If you see till November 15th, there are total 46 draws have happened, right? And the number of invitations which have been given is 92,768, right? And these are the ones which are category based draws, right? So this is category, this is category, this is category based draw. These all three are category based draws, right? And if you see among the categories as well, or even the draws in general, and you can see that French is taking the lead. So 24% of all invitations just went to French, right? So it means that this is a clear winner. And the second, as far as category-based draw is, you have the health occupations, which is at 7%, right? And then you have STEM occupations around 5, trade is 4%, transport is 1%, and agriculture barely makes it to not even the first digit. So it's like 0.2%, right? So, and even if you look at the immigration level plan for next year, they did not even mention STEM or transport or agriculture. I think they're losing a little bit of favor. But the one which is continuously, making sense is the French one, right? So you can see from this diagram as well. We had general draws as well. This is specifically applicable to people who have experience even outside Canada, because they include the Canadian Experience Class, Federal Skilled Worker, Federal Trades Program. So the only option for those who are outside Canada is that they need to fit neatly into one of these draws, right? Which is the category-based draws. Otherwise, their chances of getting invitation to apply seems dim as per me. So now, if you see the draws, I've done some little bit of analysis and I'll share with you. So if you see the CEC, the scores are continuously increasing. So the first 4 months of this year till April, you had general draw, and then they are kind of replaced with CEC, Canadian Experience Class draws. And after that, not a single general draw has happened, right? And if you want to see what I mean by that is, how do I know that? So if this is a list of all the draws which have happened in the last 9 or 10 years. So you can see go all the way down, and maybe I was just going to increase into 50. And if you see the general draws kind of happened, the last one happened in April. After that, there's nothing, right? So they're all been Canadian Experience Class, provincial nominee, and then the category based draws, right? So coming back, so if you see the CEC score has been increasing, and it's just increased in October and November to 547. See, and the reason for this is, as from my understanding, is that they have already met their quota for not only this year, they are also basically trying to slow down because they might have sent more invitations than they need to. So that could be the reason why they have kind of slowed down on the number of invitations. They are now sending invitations even for French and some other categories also less than 1,000, just like 400, 500 in case of Canadian Experience Class. Similarly, if you see French is the one which has become the favorite. It's steadily increasing. If you see the scores are increasing, but if you see the scores are highly dependent on the uh, basically the size of the draw, right? If the draw size reduces, of course, scores would fly. For example, the one which you had recently on November 15th, which is 478, and we know why is that, right? Because the draw actually that this one happened, they only picked up 800 invitations, and if you're going to do a draw of such a low size, it will bound to increase it. But I am still very hopeful that people who can speak French will have an outsized advantage. And even as a while the immigration targets for 2025 are immigration target for the next 3 years, there continues to decrease, the French as a percentage is increasing. Okay, then you had only two healthcare draw scores were immigration target for the next 3 years, there continues to decrease, the French as a percentage is increasing. Okay, then you had only two healthcare draw scores were 422, 445, and then there were two trades draw, 436 and 433 were the scores. Those are all very good scores. So then you have transport, which was 430, STEM 491, and agriculture. They don't have not shown the score. Maybe I can show you here. So I think the score was, let's see, let's add a label. So value, if I say outside and yeah, 437. So 437 is the score, right? All good scores except for the STEM, I would say. And then I want to highlight something which is related to why these draws the coming right now, the scores are super high, right? If you see the 2024 quota, right, for express entry was 110,000. And if these are number of people, right? So these are number of people, right? Now, if there are in one application, there are like two people, right? So now number of invitations one would expect based on the express entries divided by two. So which is the number which I got, 55,350, right? So that's the number of invitations we expect. But what is the number of actual draws, invitations we got till now is 92,000. So the difference is huge. Let's subtract the PNPs because PNP does not, they have a separate quota. So we are left with 79,220. So these are the number of draws which has already happened for 2024 invitations. So which is approximately, if you see here, they're already invited 23,870 invitations more, right? Which is actually a huge thing, right? So one explanation for this is that there are a lot of people who have duplicate profiles, or they did not do their profile right, and they basically got the invitation much ahead of before they actually met the requirement. So there is a lot of wastage of these draws. So even if you say like there are like 30-40% wastage, I'm just going to give a ballpark, let's say 40% wastage, which is actually huge. Still, this means this quota for this is already filled. So we are probably into the quota of the next year already started. So that's why the draw size is pretty low. Now let's look into the total PR quota for 2025. If you look at the express entry quota, so we have under federal economic priorities. So these include your French draws, any of the category based draws would be have a separate quota of around 42,000. So it includes French, it includes trades, healthcare, and those kind of things. And then you have in Canada focus. This primarily relates to Canadian experience class, right? So the total express entry quota is 125,000. So these are not number of invitations, these are number of people, right? So now if you look at the in Canada focus, we know that if there are 83,000 people quota, and on one application there are approximately two people, which for example could be husband wife kids, or some applications could be single. Let's say on an average there are two people per application. So if I divide this by two, so I know that there are approximately these number of invitations, approximately 42,000 invitations expected, right, for 2025. But let's be generous. Let's say, you know what, there are a lot of people who get invitations. They're not supposed to get it, right? They realize that they have put the work experience wrong, and there are many other factors. So let's say out of this, and we increase the the express entry invitations by 40%, right? So that is, I'm giving a generous margin, right? So let's say there are going to be 58,000 invitations just for the Canadian experience class or in Canada focus case, right? So these are the number of invitations. So now if these are the number of invitations for 2025, so we can say per month it would be around 4,840 invitations, right? So then there is another stat we have. We know that every single day above 500, 250 people get added. So let's say that 250 people get added every day. So within 30 days, you will have approximately 7,500 people added. So and if I multiply this by two, so number of people invited would be around 9,681. So in a way, uh, you can guess that based on this specific analysis, so these are the number of people who get added to the pool, and these are the expected number of people who would get invited. So the number of invitations would be 4,840, but the number of people would be 96, and these are the number of invitations. So you can see this seems to be slightly more than 7,500. So my guess is that there is a chance maybe by the middle of the next year, if everything goes smoothly, you might see a drop less than or close to 500, but it will still be very, very competitive. So I think as a lot of people are getting into French and many other things, so you will see that the scores will continue to hover around 500. uh, yeah, so these is all based on these kind of assumptions. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe, like the video, and share it with anyone who might find it useful. So I've created many other videos as well on PR pathways. Look at the playlist, look at the description, and you will find many useful information. So I wish you all the very best. I know it's very tough to get Canadian PR. So think strategically, plan it well, look at what occupations make most sense, what fields will make more sense, and that's how you could, improve your chances of getting PR. Thank you so much for watching the video.